Hello, hello. Happy Saturday and welcome to the data. Welcome to the data science stream. My name is Carl. Carl24K, Carl Gold, whatever you want to call me. I'm one crazy person who will actually get online on a Saturday and talk about data and data science. So without further ado, I'll just dive right in and start doing something. What am I doing today? We are looking at GCP, also known as Google Cloud Platform, and Airflow. So there's some setup we did last week, and I'm going to show you right now the churn simulation data we loaded in BigQuery, and then we're going to migrate the data to 2024. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then we'll check in on the Composer Airflow environment. So let me just get right in there. So here I am in my Google Cloud environment. If you can read the fine print here, I have $55 left in my free trial. If you might have recalled in my last stream, I started out with a fat 300, but I've really burned it away. I have to admit I wasted some of it leaving my Airflow environment running. I hope none of you did that after my last stream. I don't think I specifically mentioned that you should delete your Airflow environment because it'll cost you money to run it when you're not using it. So I hope everyone deleted their Airflow environments and did not waste their money from their credit like I did. But here we are in BigQuery, and you can see, if you can read that small font. Let me see if I can do something about the font size here for you guys. There we go. It's probably a little bit more legible. A little harder for me to work, but that's cool. So last stream, I created this schema, SocialNet 7. And that is the familiar schema from the book Fighting Churn with Data, if you already know it. And I can just do select count star from, gotta specify my data set. In Google Cloud lingo, this is a data set. So SocialNet 7, dot event. And does that work? Wow, having some fat fingers here. So this is working, and you can see we loaded like 1,000,000 something events last week. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is actually make a little data correction. Let me go back to the deck here and show you. I'm going to migrate the data from 2020 to 2024. Or 22, sorry, not 2024. Let's just go with 2022, not into the future. Because if you look at this here, I mean, the simulation from the book, this would be event time. We're going to look at the min and max event time in all this data that we loaded. And if you notice, I left it at the default simulation settings from the book. And I was writing this book back in 2019. So 2020 was a reasonable date. So the data goes from 2020 Jan 1 to 2020 June 30th. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to migrate that data to 2022 by running this SQL, update the event table, set event time equals event time plus 27 months. And that's going to move it up to the present time. Because as you'll see in Airflow with this feature engineering, a lot of things work based on the current date. So really what I should have done is run the churn simulation with the dates 2022-0601, 2022-1130 using this command, churnsim.run simulation. And don't do what I did in the last stream, which was I did run standard simulation. So let's, without further ado, let's see. I actually want to just take that select. Hold on, let me go back here. I want to exit my presentation mode. I just want to actually use this query rather than retyping it and making, a mistake. So let's just comment this one out. Now I'm going to go down here and let's see, update, set event time. And I'm using the little where 1 equals 1 trick just to execute this for all lines. So let's see if this works. Let's see, execution details. It seems to be doing something. I don't know. I don't think this should take very long. It is a big data database, right? So let's see. Oh, there it goes. No, it's elapsing. Okay, yeah. Oh, and it modified. Oh, I had 15 million events. Okay, cool. All right, well, that was what we were trying to do. And I'll just like comment out this guy again. And let's uncomment this. In case you're not taking notes, Google Cloud to comment and uncomment in your query, it's the standard command / on a Mac. I don't know what that'll be on Windows, but there is a hot command to, comment and uncomment in BigQuery. Good to know. And okay, look, so now my event dates go from April 1st, 2022 to September 30th. And the point of that is that now we're smack dab in the middle of that date range, which is good for the data pipeline feature engineering because we're going to do stuff that kind of depends on the current date. As you'll see, that's pretty standard in Airflow. So, all right, so there we go. I migrated my event data. I guess I'll go back to full slide mode here. So in case you forgot to run, like me, the right command, and if you're still following my stream from last week and you want to set up the data the way I did, just use this command instead of run standard simulation. Okay, so this is what we had before. And now the other thing we did last week is we had a Composer Airflow environment. Let's get over there. Let's see, here we go. Composer. I guess I'll leave that unsaved work. I don't think that was anything too important. So here was what we see in the Google Cloud Composer. This is not the same Composer environment that we were looking at last week, because after the stream, I had to completely delete the environment so Google Cloud would stop charging me for it. And there's a tip to you. Do not leave your Airflow Composer environments running because they'll charge you money. So let me go into the environment here, and we'll see that we have a few key buttons at the top. One is to open the Airflow UI, which I'll just start that opening up. And the other is to open my DAGs folder, because that's where we upload code that's going to run on Airflow. That's kind of the standard Airflow thingamajiggy. So let's see. Well, we'll let that folder continue to open. So this was the DAG that we made last week. And I think, again, I must zoom in so that those of you, maybe a little bit too much zoom in. But hopefully people online can kind of see this. Now, maybe that was the right amount of zoom in. Churn data test. This was our DAG, which is short for directed acyclic graph from last week. It has these states: a default connection, explicit connection, check public event data, and check churn event data. And if you ever want to like rerun, your DAG, you can basically click on one of these and hit clear, which means it's going to clear these things from having run, and it's going to think it needs to run them again. And this is what you'll see if you ever, I'm just getting into a quick Airflow demo. This will be quite boring and commonplace by the end of the stream. But for now, we can just say, hey, what does it look like when your Airflow jobs run? These little things will turn green if they're working. If it's not working, as I think we'll see before the end of the stream, they turn yellow and red. So what is this? What set this up? I can show you the code we were looking at last week. It's this churn data test file. And let's see, I can collapse everything and show you that there is a little set of default args here. And then there's this with statement, which creates the DAG, directed acyclic graph. And within it, we've got, let's see, a BigQuery insert job operator. And this is this is my testing the connection. And you can see it says it's an insert job, but the query is just select one. So it's basically just making sure that thing works. And I had this one here, which was to check my own private data. In contrast to this one, which is checking a connection to a public data set, which I read about in a blog post. And then this one here is checking that it can connect to my own private data set, which I created with the churn data. So this is the data we were just looking at. Let's go back to BigQuery. Oh, I'm dumb. I left, I should have left that screen of BigQuery open so you can see that this is the same thing. So in the code, I'm referring to churn stream, that's my project. SocialNet 7, that's my data set. Event, that's my table. Here we go. Yeah, this was all this stuff here back in BigQuery land. Okay, so that is kind of a recap of where things were at last week, I think. Oh no, I had something else to do. I'm going to update the composer configurations. I'm going to show you a little bit more about Airflow, which I discovered myself in the last couple of weeks. Because remember, full disclaimer, I'm not an Airflow expert. This is actually my stream of teaching myself Airflow and kind of having fun on live stream, showing you guys the mistakes I made. So I found out that there are these configurations I want to set, and they'll help in the rest of the stream. In Airflow UI, go to admin configuration. Okay, let me look for that. This is the Airflow UI. So in admin and configuration, let's see. You can see these are my current configurations, if you're wondering. And there's one that's called parallelism and one called min file process interval that we're going to mess with. So let's look for parallelism. It's set to 0. Now that's not going to be good because we're going to have some problems because we're going to do some parallel stuff before the end. And then there was this other one of the process interval, min file process interval, that's set to 30. And this is supposed to be how long Airflow waits to process your uploads, which we're going to be doing a lot of uploading. So what we're going to do is go back to our Airflow environment. And here I'm going to go Airflow configuration overrides. And now I'll edit one of them. I'll add a configuration override. Wait a second. Is this the right thing? I don't remember this being sections with keys and values. Airflow? Yeah, no, this is right. Okay, so I do section blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Actually, I don't remember this being in there when I practiced this before. What are my sections? Section, I guess, is for that interval thing is scheduler. You know, the last time I did this, I didn't have to enter this stuff. It makes me a little bit suspicious, but I guess this is scheduler, and we want, oh, actually it's popping up for me. Oh, this is actually good. Just bet 10. Okay, so I'm gonna try that one. And then I'm gonna try, I swear the UI changed from the last time I did this. So I'm a little bit freaked out, but that could be a Google Cloud change, an innocuous Google Cloud change. So now I'm going to go back, and I think my next, wait. I want to add more configurations. And I'm getting the spinny wheel. I've got to add one more. Shit, I should have added 2 at once. And we're getting the spinny wheel for the first time today from Google Cloud. Hopefully we won't be here too long with a spinny wheel. If anyone, anyone on the chat wants to share your experiences with Google Cloud or Airflow, this would be a good time to do it. Damn spinny wheel. Well, if this takes too much longer, I can just let the spinning wheel here go while we talk about something else. All right, we'll be back to this in a minute, and maybe I'll just go on to the next thing, which is to go beyond Google Composer Setup and say, what are we here to talk about? Well, I'm like the churn guy, so in this stream we're going to talk about churn. You'll hear that word a lot, and I'll just explain what is churn for those of you who haven't heard. Churn is subscribers, customers, or users quitting, unsubscribing, unfollowing, or canceling from basically anything like a product or service where you don't want your customers to leave. The origin of the term churn is from a metric called the churn rate, which is the percentage of customers that drop out in a particular period. But churn is also now a verb, and you can say the customer churned, or the customer is going to churn, or I'm going to churn from Netflix because, I don't know, I couldn't find anything else good to watch there. And I'll sign up for Hulu, and then I'll churn from Hulu. But churn is also a noun. You can even say, like, make a churn report. Hey, wow, Guy Montebier, thank you for subscribing. Oh my God, you are one of the proud subscribers here. You must like churn and data, so please say hello on the chat. So I was saying how churn can be a noun. You can even say, like, that customer is a churn, or they canceled their contract. They are a churn. Yeah, first time chat. Yes. Well, welcome to the data. So that's what churn is. And let me check on my airflow environment. Oh man, still getting the spinny whale. Shoot. I wish I had edited both those parameters at once, because now we're going to have to wait to edit the other parameter, which was actually an important parameter. So I'll just go on, keep talking about what is churn. What is churn reduction, or data-driven churn reduction? That's what fighting churn with data is really about. And that's trying to get people to not churn by using your data. One great way to use your data is to make features and content that customers love. And I always say the best way to fight churn is to have a great product. Now, another great way to fight churn is marketing. Make targeted engagement emails using data to send people information that they really want or need about your product. That'll also be good for churn. And again, use your data to help figure out what people really want to hear about. There's also customer success and support, which means customer success is proactively reaching out to people who might churn, and customer support is more like the traditional activity of helping customers who call you. And the last thing you might want to do to reduce churn is right size your plans to give everyone a good value without passing out discounts, because discounts are the worst way to fight churn. And you can use data in all of these phases. Now, my stream today is really more of a feature engineering stream than a data science stream. But as you'll see, feature engineering is a big part of fighting churn with data, and you have to have a feature data pipeline to do everything shown here. So it's not really a data science stream today. I do other streams which are more focused on the science. Today we're more focused on the data. And let's check how my airflow environment is doing. Oh my God, still the spinny wheel. All right, well, hopefully that will work eventually. And I'll say, why should you learn churn? It's because it's the most common data science problem in the world, because every company has a churn problem. But there's a lot that's special and unique about churn from other supervised data problems. And also, it's a cool way to learn data science foundations from raw data to actionable results, which is what we're trying to do today. If Google Cloud will cool. Oh, yes. Okay, my environment is updated. That's good. Now remember, I had to do one more configuration override. Let's see. Now, do I edit? I'm going to add one. I should have done this the first time. I learned the hard way, but don't worry. All right, I'm going to add one more configuration override back to the slides so you remember what the hell I was talking about. If I go all the way back, backer than back, you'll see that I was going to set the parallelism to a value of 2. Maybe I should do more. Let's see. Key parallelism, and I'll go with a value of maybe 3. That means I can do 3 tasks at once. All right, now I'll save this one. And now I'll get another long spinny wheel from Google Cloud, but that's fine. We have more to talk about while we get this spinny wheel happening. So, all right, so this is what I was doing. Now, fast forward to where I was supposed to be and talking about what's churn, what's data-driven churn reduction, why you should care. Okay, all right, now we're getting into the new stuff. This is what we're talking about today. We are talking about customer metric calculation in the data lakehouse. And I love that term because it makes data sound fun and relaxing. Because doesn't a lake house sound like your vacation home? What is a data lake house? It's the hottest new approach to handling your data in many organizations, I think. And it is to use a data lake technology, but with data warehouse style tables or schemas. And actually, so if you think about it, the data in these events that we were looking at already is kind of in a data warehouse style, because we have a tall table with lots of events with times, and then there's some fields in them which are typically numbers. So that's the key. The events are generally numbers, and they have a type, right, which is like your dimension in the data warehouse lingo, if you're familiar with data warehouse lingo. So what we do for this customer metric calculation is we're going to do aggregations over customers and time and write to a new table called the metric table. And that will also be in the data warehouse. So it's kind of a data lake, kind of a data warehouse. That's why we call it a data lake house. And also the lake house just makes it sound so relaxing. It sounds like a vacation, which I'm sure we could all really use. So this is what we're going to do today, and we're going to do it in Airflow. So what are the customer metrics? They're snapshots of customers is one thing. So they're like a point in time view of a customer. These are also going to be your features for machine learning models. So that's why I'm calling this a feature engineering pipeline. Just because, that's a term I think most people have heard, feature engineering pipeline. So these are going to be our features for machine learning. They're also useful for analytics. And also these are used for targeting the churn interventions. Like, how are you going to know what customers to email or what customers to invite to your training? You're going to use these customer metrics. You're not necessarily going to use a predictive model, though you might. So this is what we're working on today. Today we're going to make a feature engineering pipeline in Airflow. And part one is we're going to QA the event data, which means in our pipeline, first we're going to make sure the data is good. And like I mentioned this in the book, and I'll mention this to anyone who asks, you should always QA your data, your raw data, before you calculate features. Why? Well, because if there's any mistakes in your raw data and you find out after you make your features or metrics, you're going to have wasted your time. So we're going to QA the data. There's a little bit of preparation to calculating metrics, and then we'll calculate them. And we're going to do this all in Airflow. Speaking of which, let's see how my Airflow environment is doing. Okay, still getting the spinny wheel, but I think it'll be ready in time given how long my last configuration change made. And now I demonstrated twice how to change the configurations. And I also demonstrated the utility of submitting all your configuration changes at once. All right, so what are we doing next? I think we're going to look at what we're going to do to QA the event data. So first, we're going to make an event count table in BigQuery. Then we're going to delete the old counts. Then we'll count the events and write the result into the table. I should have mentioned that key point. And then we'll check the counts. And we're going to do this all in Airflow. So what I'll do is I'll start from my old script. Maybe I should do that now. Let's go back. So this is the script we're starting out with. And I'm basically just going to resave this as, I'll call it stream data pipeline. And I've got another file that's already committed in GitHub if you want to check it out and see. I'll call this stream data pipeline because I'm going to create this one live during the stream, even though, okay, full disclosure, I've already created this before, and I'm basically going to be like copy pasting from some of my existing code into this code, but I'll do it live and we'll just see how it goes. So I want to start this thing. Okay, first I save this. The first thing I need to do is rename my DAG, because this is going to be a new DAG. Remember, churn data test is the name of my existing DAG. Oh, it looks like my parameter is updated. But so going back to my DAGs, come on, airflow. There we go. I already have churn data test, and that means I need a new name for my new DAG. We should go back in there and check my configurations in a sec, but let me just finish one thing at a time. So we'll call this churn metric pipeline, because everything has to have churn in it, you know, on this stream. And so there's the new name, and I'm going to get rid of these tasks that are just kind of standards, these connection tests to things other than my own data. But I'll leave in this one step, which is here it was called check private. And this is where I actually define the DAG. I'm going to refactor this and call it connection test. I'll call it connect test. Okay. And that's how you refactor in PyCharm. Okay, so the first step in my new DAG is going to be to make a connection. And the next step is going to be actually what we were just talking about, which is making an event count table. So this is how we're actually going to make the event count table. It's actually an operator in the data pipeline. And it's called an upsert table because it will create or modify the table if it exists, if it doesn't exist, or it's not the way you want it. But it's actually not going to mess with it if it's already there. Now, this is a little bit different than the practice in a standard database. Like in a standard database, you're probably just going to make the table once and forget about it. But in Airflow land, it makes sense to check that the table exists and create it every time you run the pipeline, create it if necessary, because you never know where you're going to be running your pipeline. It's got to be all portable. So to make a new table, we use an operator, which is an upsert table operator. I'll call it the upsert event count table. The task will be upsert event count table. The table, as we'll see, is going to be defined in another resource like this one here. Table ID is the name. We'll call it events per day, and it will just have these columns. So let's try this out in the code. Kind of like I said, I'm actually gonna kind of copy paste this in to make the stream go a little bit faster. Let's see. So the first thing we do is, like I said, I'm gonna put in the code we were just looking at, and we'll double check it from there. This will be the code for the event count table step. And you can see I'm getting some errors here. So I'm going to have to work on my code a little bit. And I'm going to I took the approach of defining variables here for the project ID, dataset name, and location to make this more reusable for other people. So what I need to do is, and even for myself, if I'm going to run this on a different data set or in a different location. So I'm going to go up here somewhere near the top of my file, and I'll just define these standard variables. So it'll be churn stream, that is the project that I'm working in now. SocialNet 7 was my data set. And US West 1, that's my location. So now if I go back down, first let me close up my first check operator, and we'll look at this one. All right, I'm no longer getting these errors, and that's good. I guess this part was always fine, but I'm still getting an error because I haven't imported this operator. So I think it's just in this BigQuery import here. If I just paste that one here, it looks like I'm good. So what this should do when it runs the DAG is it should create this table. And that's pretty much all. So now, how do we run this? As we saw in the last stream, well, first, actually, I have to do one more important thing, is I have to add this to my DAG. This creates the object that defines the step or node in my DAG, this actually puts it in the chain to run. So easy thing to forget. You just added a new, a new operator in your DAG, and you forget to actually, in your file rather, but you forget to enter it in the necessary DAG definition. All right, now let's upload it. So back here, oh, you know what? First, since we're back here, let's check my configurations again and just see if the changes I made are here. I had parallelism, okay, parallel right here, lism now set to 3. Whoops, I have fat fingers today. So now parallelism of 3 and process wasn't it process underscore interval, min file, that one actually doesn't seem to have worked. I thought I told that to be changed to 10. That's a little bit weird. What's going on with my environment? Scheduler, min 10. I think I might have changed the wrong variable. Scheduler. What? Or Google Cloud is messing with me. There is no min. Oh, there is a min. Oh, I changed the wrong variable. Damn it. Sorry, people. All right, I don't know what that was supposed to be. So I actually really don't want to leave that here. I want min file process interval 10, not min 10. That was definitely bad. All right. I'm gonna have to watch this video later and see if I submitted that wrong. Someone should have said something on chat. You guys could have said, hey, you submitted the wrong variable. So thanks a lot for the help, people. But all right, it's being updated again. Crap. Oh, this is gonna take a while now. What should we do? Because I didn't know what that min variable even did. I didn't want to change it. So we're kind of all ready, but you know what we can do? We can go on and add the next step in the DAG, and then we can test them both together. How about that? So after I have one thing I need to do is make sure the table exists. The next thing I need to do is actually, here, this is my reminder to myself to add it to the DAG, as I did remember to do that, as you might have noticed. The next thing to do is actually delete old counts for the day that we're running on, because in a data pipeline, you're pretty much always running for one day. And the reason we need to delete old counts is because we might have already run for today, and we don't want to have multiple counts for the day, if that makes sense. You'll see what I mean, because we're going to run the same DAG many times in this stream. And we don't want to make new counts every day. So what I'm going to do is use the strangely named insert job operator to run a delete. I'm going to delete from my project and dataset events per day, where the event date is one particular date given by this magic variable ds. And this is going to be my next operator in the DAG. So let's see. We can go to the code and put this one in too. This is probably better to do these both at the same time, because it's not very exciting steps so far. This is really like the preparation steps for the count. So this is my new step, and let's see. You'll notice I need to add this guy. This operator also needs to go into my import statement. And I think I should just continue on another line here, because we're going to have I think there's going to be a few more imports before I'm done today. So let's see. Okay. So now I've already got my product ID and dataset variable. Now the variable DS is like this magical thing in Airflow, which tells you the date that it's running for. So let's see. I have some stuff to tell you about that. First, let's just check on the spinny wheel in my environment. Okay, still being updated, but we saw before, this takes a few minutes to change to override your variables, but not too long. coffee break here. So let's see. So will you explain? I think I have some more to explain about this magical DS variable. Do I explain it now? No, I don't actually. I explain it later. I have some more to say about the DS variable. And now I think we really want to get this uploaded. So I wish that my environment would finish uploading. Well, let's upload the file because I think it's ready to run. So this is my current DAGs folder. I've only got the default airflow monitoring file and my churn data test, which we were doing before. So we will upload a file. And this is something you do a lot if you work on Airflow on Google Cloud. Get ready to upload files to this folder many, many times. So I'm going to upload the stream data pipeline file that I created today. And there it is. Let's collapse this guy. There's my new file. Now the problem is my environment I think is still in spinny wheel mode. Now if there's what do people call that? What do you call the spinny wheel mode? So I don't know if it's actually going to recognize that I have uploaded a file or what exactly it's gonna do. We can look here because what I need to do is go back here to my DAGs page from the Airflow server. And now if we wait long enough, my new DAG is going to show up right here. Now, but I did previously mess up by, by first not updating all my environment variables together, and then the second time I did it, I updated the wrong environment variable. So again, this would be a good time if anyone in the chat wants to tell me about your own experience with data science or, you know, Airflow, data engineering. Does anyone here have experience at Airflow, data engineering? Maybe you could help me out a bit. I guess not. And so we're still getting the spinny wheel. And let's see if you can actually, if it'll actually upload my new thing. Oh, hey, there it's running. There's my new, ooh, you got to catch these things to watch them run. Okay, it's running. Okay, we already made the upsert, okay, work. Oh, but look, we got an error. Oh, I think I know the error, man. You know what? I made that same common mistake. I said this was common. Look, this is very interesting because you can see it's disconnected. And what happened, I think, was it tried to delete before the table was created. But you see how the delete event count is not in the right place. And that's my own stupid fault. Right after I told you guys about this, I said, what I have to do is add it to the DAG. Delete, come on. Delete old count rows, I guess is what I called it here. All right, now I'm gonna do something that you'll do a lot of times working on Airflow is I'm gonna re-upload that file after correcting it. And we're gonna re-upload this file a lot of times because we're gonna add more stuff to it. So we're gonna see this window a lot and you have to press overwrite and continue uploading. And now here I'm actually, let me like, get rid of this one. What I want to do is I'm gonna just trash this guy. It's gonna be a little bit tricky to do. And I think it would eventually have noticed that I replaced the file, but that is just a little, you know, I think that helps it. Okay, here's the new version. Let's see if it is the new version. Nope, still the old version. You can tell because look at the DAG here. Another way you can tell is if we look at the code, you can see that this is the code. This is the same code, but look, this is my version where I haven't added the file yet. So I still need it to recognize that I re-uploaded this. Let's see. So this happens a lot when you're working on Airflow. You spend a lot of time like wondering when is it going to notice that it re-uploaded the file, which is what I was trying to change, okay, with this min file process interval. Okay, so now I've updated my environment configuration. This one is supposed to make it notice that my file has been updated faster, and it still has not. We'll know when the DAG looks different. Maybe I need to delete that one again, because it's not working. I'm still new at Airflow, but what I find is you end up wasting a lot of time waiting for these dumb files to upload. So I apologize for that, but hey, it doesn't make for that great streaming, but I'll try to make as few mistakes as I can. So now when my DAG reappears, it should be the new version. I hope so. Yeah, so now you can see the delete event count depends on the upsert event count table. We'll run afterwards. And let's see, is it working? Waiting. Okay, there you go. Running. All right, so now it worked. So that's how it goes when you're working on Airflow. You gotta wait for your things to re-upload. Let's go back here and do a refresh. Back here meaning back to BigQuery, and we'll see if I have created an event count table, which we should have. I can call this stream Spinny Wheels with Google Cloud. Okay, in my Churn stream project, in my SocialNet 7 dataset, I now have an event per day table, which is where I'm going to store the event counts. So there should be nothing in it, which we can confirm. Query in new tab, sure. Let's see, count, let's see, hey, it knew what I wanted. Let's do select count star, and there should be basically nothing, because we haven't done anything yet. All right, but that actually completes what we're trying to do here. We deleted the old counts. Now we're actually going to count the events. And for this one, I'm going to use a BigQuery insert job again. This is the same operator I used for the delete. But now my query is going to be an insert. So this is a pretty standard query. People, SQL heads will recognize this. Maybe we should just run it first, actually. I'll show you the query in BigQuery. I'll copy paste it, and then we'll run it in BigQuery. That'll be more fun. Let's see. Maybe I can clean this up a little bit. I'm using Shift Tab. You can tab to indent and unindent. So let's see. I'm going to have to clean this up because these were variables in net 7. Okay, I also need my project, I assume. Actually, I probably don't need my project here from the UI. So this will just be SocialNet. So select from SocialNet 7 event, inner join SocialNet 7 event type, where event time equals, well, this won't do. I can't use that. I'll make it 2022 07 09 or 08, I guess, which was yesterday. And yeah, so this is a pretty standard group by aggregation. Event type as event name, the event date, and count star as the count. And yeah, so this is basically a simple QA query, if I got it right, that will show us how many events we have per day. So add views 15,000, dislikes 6,000, etc. Likes 37,000. So that's what we're going to run to insert into the table. And yeah, so let me now, we'll actually put that query, that job, into the DAG that we've been building up. I'm just going to add it right here. So this is what I just ran in a BigQuery insert job operator. I'll call my task insert event count, and it's just insert into the events per day table. This is that same query that we just ran. So now let me not forget to add it to the DAG. All right, so now I've added it, and now we'll do that thing that we're gonna do a lot of times, which is I'm going to re-upload. Let's see. And once again, overwrite the object or it won't actually do anything. How do people like this music? It's good electronic music for working and studying, I think. No one's complained since I switched to the lo-fi. When I was playing more like techno and house, I got complaints occasionally. But so now we've re-uploaded, and now what we need to do is check for when Airflow notices that I re-uploaded so that we can watch the other one run. And I set that thing to be like a 10-second delay, but really I never know what to do here. Like you just spend a lot of time doing this when you're working on Airflow. I shouldn't have to delete it each time I re-upload, but you know, it just seems like it takes a long time for it to notice that I've re-uploaded. And this was supposed to be that setting that I changed to be only 10 seconds. Did we check that again? This was supposed to now be what the hell was it? It was like process interval. All right, min file process interval 10. So that worked. It's supposed to now reprocess my files every 10 seconds. But maybe do I have to delete it? Okay, oh no, look, it's working. And we kind of missed it. I think it's been running. No status. Is it running or not? Let's see. It's a little confusing. I actually haven't seen this before. Not yet started. Okay. Let's turn on this auto refresh, maybe. Nope. Hey, why is it you saw that? It turned itself off. That's not supposed to happen. All right. Again, here you can see I'm kind of an Airflow noob, and I'm just like, why is my thing not running? This happens a lot, apparently, when you're... I don't know if it happens when you're experienced on Airflow or just when you're new, but I'm going to try deleting it again. I think I shouldn't have to do that, and I wish someone would, like, you know, figure this out for me. All right, here it appeared again. Let's see, and now it's running. Now it upsert event count table, delete event count, running. Let's see, insert event count. Okay, that looks better. Scheduled, queued. Yeah, that no status blank was not good. You don't want to see that. Oh, it worked. Insert event count. Okay, that means we can go back to this query results tab. And, well, this was demonstrating the event count query. Let's now do select star from, events per day. That was the name of it. And I'm just going to select star because I know we've only run it for one day. Unexpected syntax. What is that? Why? Okay, well, there we go. So these are my counts. So we have... Well, these are just the same ones that we saw, right? They should be, because we basically just ran the same query, if I'm not mistaken. But now they're actually in the events per day table. All right, so what does it do for us now that they're in the events per day table? Well, for one thing, we can check them over time, and we can keep track of the events, the count of events per day, as you know, we go through time and see if the amount is increasing or decreasing. In the short term, this was where I had my slide on understanding the Airflow DS macro. I guess we can go into this now, before we do the count. So Airflow runs DAGs at the end of the interval that you defined. So if you're working with 24-hour intervals, the runs will always start at midnight on the next day, basically. So you process the data from, say, the 1st on the 2nd. That's why today, on the 9th of July, the DS variable will be set to the 8th. So there's always this convention. So today, this is a convention in data pipelines generally, that today you're processing yesterday's data. And you can count the event. The count in the event query will correctly measure the date that you want. And here's a little link if you want to like learn more about, you know, how this is defined. You know, you can read more about it here on the Airflow scheduler page. I think it's triggering. Well, anyway, I actually don't want to go into it. So this was just to give you a little information about that mysterious DS variable that we've been using. And now we'll finally, I added the query to my DAG. This was my reminder to add that to my DAG. And next what we do is we're actually going to check the counts on the table. And that is what we want to do, because we want to actually gate the metric or feature calculation based on whether we have the right number or an acceptable number of events, so that we won't calculate the metrics if the events don't look good. So how do we do that? Well, we can look at the data in BigQuery. We need to check how many events per day you have. And we were actually just doing that. I mean, this is one typical day that we already ran the count for. So here we have some typical counts. And what I'm going to do for this QA is I'm going to just set like a lower threshold on how many events per day are acceptable. And so I'm going to make it lower than the typical amount, but you know, not that low. So I mean, here, you know, we can kind of I don't know what the best way to do this is. I mean, here were my counts from the 9th, and I could run like a few days and look at, you know, the typical numbers. But the truth is I've done this like in the past, and I know that there's about the same amount, you know, kind of each day. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a minimum threshold of around 50% and make that like the minimum number that I'm expecting. So let's show that. Let's see. So that's what the data looks like. So here I'm just gonna make a table of what the expected event count will be each day. It'll look something like this, and that's based on, you know, those counts we were just looking at. So ad views, I'm seeing 15,000 on a typical day. So I'll make my minimum threshold 10,000. Dislikes, on a typical day, I'm seeing 6,000. So I'll make my threshold, you know, 4,000. Likes, I'm seeing on a typical day 37,000, you know, call that 30 to 40,000. So I'll make this threshold 20,000. So I'm going to have these as my thresholds, and I'm going to, like I said, because I've done this before, I'm actually just going to copy paste this into the script to make things go faster in the stream. But I'm putting these in a list data structure. It's actually a list of lists. I could have used a list of tuples in Python. It doesn't really matter. But the reason I'm doing it this way is to generate my event count checks programmatically. Rather than I've got 8 events to check. So rather than making 8 different checks in the code, I will be a little bit more clever and make a list using list comprehension in Python. So looking at this code, which I'm going to use right now, I'm defining a list variable by saying events per day checks equals open bracket, close bracket. Now, in this list, I'm going to use what we call in Python a list comprehension. Maybe I should put the code into actually the, let me get the code into the IDE, and that'll be easier to, it'll be highlighted better, and it'll just be easier to read. So I'm going to go down in my script. So here was my connection test. You know, I should start collapsing some of these. I should collapse all of these to make them easier to read. So here was my deleting of the old rows. Here is my inserting of the new rows. And here is my event per day check. So like I said, what I'm doing here is a list comprehension by defining a list with this for statement in it. So for event in expected events, BigQuery check operator will be created with the following SQL. Select event count greater than a minimum. So this will actually return a true or false value because I'm using the BigQuery check operator, which wants like a Boolean. It's gonna succeed or fail based on the result of this Boolean operation. So I set the event name from the first field in the event and the event count from the second field. And the event is one item in this expected events list. So that's defined up here. So that's why, so you see how I have the list of the events and the minimum number to pass the check. And then they will be created in the list comprehension. So now what do I do? Well, as always, I'm actually going to I think I need to break my DAG up into multiple lines just generally so everyone can see it. Or maybe this is good. So now I'm going to pipe this into my events per day check. So now my DAG is actually going to split out into multiple events. And I'm going to do one other Airflow trick I'm going to show you now, which is to join my checks together. And you'll see what I mean once this is in the DAG. So I'm going to make a list of event counts, which in parallel, which is splitting out in my DAG. And this operator is going to join them together. And you'll see why we need that when I finish the DAG later. But this is basically an Airflow trick. When you split out to multiple tests or steps in parallel, you have to join together if you want to continue a sequential serial flow in your Airflow process, which I do. So this is going to be my dummy operator, but looks like I need the import. It's giving me the highlight. Unresolved reference for dummy operator. Let's see. And I was reading, full disclosure, I was reading online that the dummy operator is like deprecated or something. See, look, it's giving me this warning, I think, telling me dummy operator is deprecated, but it still seems to work. So I'm still using it. And I couldn't figure out the right thing to do. So again, oh, hey, Detox Mango. What kind of workouts do I do? I don't work out a lot these days. And this is a data science stream, not like an exercise stream. I work out typing all day. No, I exercise a little bit. I do a little yoga and I do like some leg workout and jogging and stuff like that. But I'm more of a geek than a jock. What about you, Detox Mango? Are you a good exerciser? I'm okay. But anyway, I am going to add this to the DAG. I look like I go to the gym. Oh, that is so nice of you to say that. But not true. And how can you even tell from this little bit of me on the stream? But anyway, thanks. I'll take that as a compliment. So this is going to be our new DAG, and let me get uploading so that we can see it run. That means I need to go back to my DAGs bucket. But nice to see you, Detox Mango. I haven't seen you on the stream for a while. I hope you've been well. I've been okay. I'm in a new job, if you didn't see my Twitter or LinkedIn post. So I'm going to overwrite, continue uploading. And now, Wait. Why is this? Oh, this was my documentation page. Let's close that up so I don't get confused. Now let's go back up here, and I'm going to try deleting this guy again. I don't really know if I have to. It will appear again once it notices that I re-uploaded my file. Whoops. No, don't want that popping up. Or that. Alright, so let's see. When is it going to notice my new file? I set that interval to 10 seconds, so it should only take 10 seconds for it to notice that the file was updated. Now we'll know if it's got the new file. It doesn't have the new file. We'll know it got the new file because there will be a lot more stuff in the DAG. And you can also see, excuse me, from the code that it's still on my insert event count. It hasn't yet noticed that I updated it, but it will, I swear. I don't know why it's... Oh, okay, now you can see it noticed that it's the new file, and now it's actually doing some of my checks. So it's supposed to do all these checks, and then it's supposed to get to the join. And oh no, I did something wrong. All right, this is fine. Making mistakes is part of this. Let's see how my graph looks. Okay, my graph actually looks good. So now this is good. I haven't showed you guys the graph yet because it's actually not that exciting unless you have something in it. So now I've got several states in my graph, or several, what do you call a node in a DAG? A node. Okay, so you run 150 meter repeats. So that's like sprinting. Cool. So something's failing, and I'm not quite sure what's failing. But my DAG looks right in that I do my insert, and then it goes to all these checks. Then it's supposed to go back together. But now I have to figure out why is it failing. Let me go back to the tree. And what I need to do is I need to look at some logs, which I guess I can find. Where do I find the log? I'm going to find the log by checking this one. All right, so I made some typo or mistake. The log file not found. Ooh, that's not good. I've not seen that before. Go back to the tree so I can figure out what's wrong with my code. Check dislike count log. This I don't really expect. Usually you get a log here. Wait a second. Some of these worked actually. So like check reply count worked. Can I get a log for it? Yeah. This one works. Select event count greater than 2,500. Let's see. So now what about these ones that are failing? Why did this one fail? Maybe there's not enough. But the fact that the log is not showing up is making me suspicious because the task might not have been executed, or worker executing it might have finished abnormally. Okay. I'm not really sure. Let me try doing a clear. Hey, Maddie Two Shoes. Oh my God, Maddie's raiding me. Maddie, wow. You have a real stream crowd. Welcome, Maddie Two Shoes and Raiders. On a Saturday, I always stream on Saturday. I've got a day job, people. I'm a data science director, which means a responsible job to do. So I'm doing some airflow hacking on a Saturday, And I'm trying to figure out why these jobs failed. But you know what? It fixed itself when I cleared it. So I'm just going to keep clearing these. Yeah, you normally stream on a weekdays. You're a weekday evening streamer, and I am a Saturday streamer. How do you have time for that on a weekday? Oh, that's the other thing. Maddie, I don't think you have a family, right? I got kids and stuff, so weekday nights are for the family. Saturday afternoon, I have time to waste on live streaming. Okay, I've got one more job to clear, and I don't know why these failed. Yeah, it seems like the airflow fixed itself when you guys showed up. So thank you for all the raiders who fixed my airflow. Hopefully, and we're green. Okay, so now you guys are seeing, and just to fill in everyone who just joined, I'm doing a feature engineering data pipeline in Airflow. And let's see, there was a stage where we were checking the event data, and then I made an event count table. Then I deleted old counts and inserted event counts, and then I was checking that those event counts met a minimum. So that's what I've gotten through in my feature engineering data pipeline. You normally fix airflow by adding more fans. Where are you running airflow? You're actually running it on premise? I don't know about... Oh, you're making a joke, a pun, because the airflow is adding fans. You're not actually talking about cooling off your laptop because you overheated it with airflow, I guess. So what we have done, I've now checked all the event counts that I was supposed to check, and I joined my DAG back together in that join branch. So let me go back to my presentation. A 30-second overview of airflow. Yeah, let's see. A 30-second overview of airflow. Airflow is an open source process control tool. A DAG is a directed acyclic graph. I don't think I have anything kind of giving you an overview, but this is a DAG. You are looking at a DAG right now. This is a directed acyclic graph. If I can get the whole thing into the screen. I don't know why it's like out of the screen there. But a directed acyclic graph is a flow. It has one direction and there's no cycles. And each step in it is a task which you can define in Python. And I'll show you how I define this DAG here. Is with this Python script that I've been building up throughout the stream. So each step in the DAG is created with an object, and I'm using BigQuery operator objects. This is the one that checks that the data can connect. This is just a simple select count star greater than 0. And then the next one is to create a table. This is actually a long operator. It actually creates a table if it doesn't exist. And then it goes on to running some queries. And Airflow, as you'll see in a second, you upload this script to Airflow and then it processes it. And it can run all these data processing steps for you. So there was a very quick 30-second overview of Airflow for Juicture. Hopefully that is a reasonably not too bad overview of Airflow. So yeah, and oh, when you do it all in like a with statement in Python by creating this DAG context, I guess. I'm also not the world's greatest Python programmer. I'm a better scientist than hacker, but hacking is fun. So, all right. So that is the overview and the background of what I'm doing. The next thing we have to do, I did all this, is we're actually going to do a little preparation for the feature calculation, which are customer metrics. So I'm gonna do the same trick as I did with my event count table, is I'm going to make sure that there is a table to receive my data and I'm going to clear out any old data. And again, why do we clear out old data? Well, you end up running your data pipelines a lot of times. Each time you make a mistake and rerun it, it runs all the steps. So it's actually important to clear out your old results. So this is how we create a table, once again, with a BigQuery upsert table operator. I'll call it the upsert metric table task. Every task has to have a unique name. And then, oh, not a Python dev. Okay, well, I do a lot of Python programming. I'm just honest that I'm not a good Python programmer all the time, or I'm not the most knowledgeable anyway. So we're going to create the table, and the key part is, of course, the table resource, which defines the table. I'm going to call it the metric table, and it's going to have these columns: an account ID, a metric date, a metric name, and a value, crucially. So as I was doing before, what I'm going to actually just kind of like copy paste that into my script. I'm not going to hack it out live just because, you know, it's easy to make mistakes like live hacking, and the stream will go a lot faster as a demonstration if I just kind of like, you know, paste it in. Why do I use PyCharm versus VS Code? That's a good question, and you've just given me a soapbox to go up onto. I actually don't pay for anything in PyCharm, so I'm using it free, and I don't use their Jupyter Notebook integration. I just use Jupyter Notebooks, although sometimes I wonder if I should use it, so I'd have one place. But I use PyCharm because I don't trust Microsoft. And you should not trust Microsoft either. They start out giving you a great free tool like VS Code, but before you know it, they're going to be inserting like custom Python extensions that only work on Windows with VS Code or something weird like that, because that's just what is in Microsoft's DNA. So with Microsoft, I think VS Code is like a Trojan horse. PyCharm, as an independent company, I don't think they're trying to rule the world or take over my computer, so I'm more comfortable using PyCharm. Now, maybe you don't share my dim view of Microsoft, and that is a generational difference because I'm old enough to remember the bad Microsoft. Now Microsoft is all friendly. You know, they're like, oh, we bought Minecraft. We're Mojang, Xbox. Microsoft is so nice. No. I still don't trust Microsoft, so that's why I use PyCharm. I generally prefer a variety of software vendors in the world too. You know, even if you trust Microsoft, you can think it's valuable to have independent vendors like PyCharm. Now, I'm not supporting PyCharm by paying them. I'm not that virtuous, but I'm, you know, not supporting Microsoft. Okay, so this is going to be my new upsert table operator, which once I update this DAG, I should have done this while I was going on my soapbox. Sorry, getting off the soapbox now. Yeah. Oh, you're old like me, and you're happy with VS Code. Okay, I know a lot of people are happy with VS Code. It just depends on how, you know, how big you are into independent software and stuff. Anyway, I'd better like start uploading, or we're never going to actually, you know, get anything done on this stream. I've got to go back to my DAGs now. Steffi128. Well, they trained an AI on open source repos and are now selling the tool for $10 a month. So you can buy a pre-trained machine learning or something from open source? I'm not quite sure. What did they train it on open source repos? GitHub Copilot. I am not actually familiar with that either. There's so many cool new tools that you can get into. So let me check what's going on here. This guy has to notice that I uploaded my file, and we'll know that it has because this will change. But I think I'm gonna take the technique of like trying to delete. If anyone here is an Airflow expert, you know, maybe you can just tell me what do you have to do to make it like notice that your DAG has been updated. So Steffi128, what is GitHub Copilot? I am constantly learning about new cool stuff on the open source world. But my latest project has just been learning Airflow because I kept hearing so much about it. Just had to get out here. Now let's see if it has updated to the new step. Okay, it's now running everything, which is actually not that good. Remember how I said you end up running things a lot. Okay, so here's my upsert metric table. It was added at the end. Wait a second. Oh, you know what? I made that mistake again. I didn't add it to my DAG. This is the third time I've made this mistake, but that's okay. It still ran. I should have put it here to make it depend on the others, although it actually doesn't really, so maybe I don't have to. But what that did, the upsert should have created, because you can see it already succeeded. So now if I go back to my BigQuery, I should now notice there's no metric table. Yeah, Steffi128, if the link is to something good, like if it's a cool open source tool related to AI, then definitely please post. Not if it's some kind of spam for a product. Oh, wait, do I have to do something here? What do can I enable it? I'm actually not, okay, now I'm not sure how to enable the link posting. Well, maybe we can look into GitHub Copilot in a few minutes. Like I can look it up or something. But let me just demonstrate that our upsert now created this metric table, which has the fields that it's supposed to. My DAG was wrong, but it still worked. And so now we should go on to the next step, and then I'll reload the DAG and we can fix it. The next step is to clear out old metrics from old runs, if there are any, which I will do with, again, from earlier in the stream, a BigQuery insert job operator, but where my query is actually a delete. So they call it insert job. They kind of mean, you know, any query you can run with a SQL statement, I guess. I don't know. So I'm just going to delete from the metric table on the run date, the DS, the magical DS of Airflow. That's like the one date, the one ring to bind them all is the DS variable in Airflow. So let's see, I'm going to add this to my DAG and then we'll rerun the DAG, re-upload, and then we'll really be ready for the final step, which is actually calculating new metrics. So this is going to be my delete old rows, and I will not forget to add it to the graph. And once again, setting my project ID, dataset name as variables. These are defined at the top of the script. So if you use this script yourself, you can reset it. And yeah, and don't forget to add it to the actual DAG. And now I'll go back to re-uploading, which is here. As I mentioned earlier in the stream, we do a lot of uploading. You do a lot of uploading when you work on Airflow. All right. And now, once again, okay, so everything working here. So yeah, so this was not the right organization of my DAG, but I will fix it. And I will once again try to force Airflow to hurry up and notice that I changed the DAG. Yeah, and we'll see the little Airflow. If this takes too long, we can go look at GitHub Copilot in a sec. Let's see, how am I doing? Okay, it looks like it's working correctly, but now we just have to wait for everything. So my insert event counts, read to the checks, and then, oh wait, no, it's not right. It's still showing, no, this is wrong. Let me get back here. Yeah, this is still the old DAG. It hasn't noticed. It did not notice that I changed the file. It'll notice eventually. Maybe I should go back and try wiping it out again. This is the ugly reality of airflow developing. Right. Kill that egg. I did upload it, right? I mean, I saved it. As again, whenever you're coding, you have to wonder, like, are you the stupid one who like forgot to save or upload or something? But there's a lot of times where you just think like airflow is gaslighting you. It's like, I know I re-uploaded that file. Why isn't it working? Okay, this looks more like it's working. Okay, so this is my new DAG. It'll be easier to see in the graph mode. So now what we can see is I do all my event count checks. Then I get to my join. Then I'm going to do my create, if necessary, the metric table, and then delete the metrics. So now we can see my DAG is correct, and we can go back to the tree view to actually watch it run more easily. Hopefully. And this is why I had to set that parallelism variable earlier in the stream. For those of you who watched me earlier, making lots of mistakes setting up the configurations, because we are running in parallel, so we have to have parallelism turned on, or this just like doesn't work. So hopefully we're going to see these green dots light up as we sit here. Looks like the last ones are queued. Oh, okay, there we go. And we have done the join. It's doing the upsert of the table. And lastly, it's showing the delete metric. So when you do these splits and rejoins, okay, it's working. So we're good. When you do these splits and rejoins in your DAG, Airflow shows it like this in the tree view. And it kind of looks like there's all these, you know, ones that don't go back together. But when you go to the graph view, you can see that this was right. All right, so we're nearly at the end, and we're finally going to achieve the original goal of calculating some new features. So this was my continuing the DAG, the join branch, metric table, delete old metrics. Now, we're finally going to calculate the customer metrics, which are going to be the features for our machine learning or, you know, whatever else we're doing. This is what we're going to do, and I'm going to briefly explain the concept of what we're doing for those of you who haven't seen it before. So this top timeline on the top here is like a hypothetical, the data we've got. We've got these events per user. User 1 may have a bunch of logins. There's actually no logins in this application, but it's the same idea for whatever your user events are. You know, user 1 might log in at these times. User 2 might log in at these times, and these are point-in-time events. The customer metrics which we're going to create in our data warehouse are summaries of the point-in-time events. So I might count the user 1 logins in 4-week groups. And so say this user 1 had 2 logins in the first 4 weeks, and user 2 had 4 logins in that same 4 weeks. And user 1 might have had 4 logins in the next period and 6 logins in the next period. And now if you're thinking you could do that calculation with SQL, you're thinking the right way. You're thinking like me, which is let's do these calculations in SQL because we're working on BigQuery. So this is the basic idea of a metric where you divide time up into some intervals and take a count. Now there's another more advanced concept which we're actually going to use, which is a sliding window metric calculation, which is also familiar to a lot of people. If you've done SQL analytics, this is a very common trick that you use a moving window to calculate your metric or feature. Now I'm going to calculate once per week, but using a 4-week look back window. People call that the look back period or the window period. There's a lot of things you can call this. But this is what the calculation that we're going to do. We're going to move windows forward in time week by week, and then calculate the count of events in that week. All right, now I can show you this. This is a standard listing from my book, Fighting Churn with Data. And that's where this code can all be found. Let me get out of this part. So I just wanted to show you this because this is a chapter 3 listing. Wait a second, that's the wrong file. I want to be in this listings folder, chapter 3. So chapter 3, listing 3 is this one. It's where you insert into a metric table an account ID, a time, which is the end of that calculation period, and a value. And this is a simple select with a count star where we group by account and metric date. Now, in the book, I said generate a series of dates, and we're going to do this calculation all at once, but for many different dates. In Airflow, what we actually do is we do one date at a time because we're running this like a data pipeline that we run on each date that we're interested in. I'm actually going to set it up to run every day because I'm just going to do a default Airflow data pipeline which runs every day. So this is the query. It's a simple group by with a count star, but we're going to do it in Airflow. So let's see, going back to this, why should you care about this calculation? Well, this is because most of your customer event-based metrics or features, for your machine learning or AI are simple aggregates. I say 90% of customer metrics or features have this pattern, and I've done a lot of feature engineering for customer use cases, not just counts. So in my simple example here, we were just doing count star, right? But you can also do an average of a value or a total of a value. My events in this application just are a simple events. They don't have a value in them. But if your events are things like purchases or dwell times for a media or lots of events have values with them. And then what you're interested in are averages and totals. So this is a super universal technique for feature engineering. All right, now how do we do it in Airflow? I'm going to use a trick which I introduced earlier in the stream, which is to use a Python list comprehension and make several insert jobs. So each insert job is going to have its own name given by the event. And then the query on this slide is going to be just what we were looking at before, but running in Airflow. So we use the DS variable for the date rather than like in the book, I generated the dates in a series. So we use that DS a lot, the magic Airflow DS. So I want my event times to be within the 4-week window, ending at DS and starting at 4 weeks before DS. So let's just go. This code will be easier to read with the syntax. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Go back. Well, let's just get to the code. The code will be easier to read once I put it into the IDE, which for me is PyCharm. So why do you like VS Code if you're still there? Just sure, you said you're into VS Code and you're actually, like me, old enough to remember the bad Microsoft from the 90s and the aughts or 2000s. What do you like about VS Code? Because I keep wondering if I'm missing out, honestly. So here we go. This is my list comprehension where for event in the expected events. Now my expected events variable was defined up here at the top. It's just a little list of the events. And for each one of those events, I'm going to make a BigQuery insert job operator with the query that I was just showing you. Actually, this syntax highlighting on the query is not so good because it's all a string here. So this is actually not so good, but it'll work. So now I've added a whole list of operators, and once again, like before, I need to add it to the DAG. So there's my metric calculations. A lot of stuff well out of the box and a lot of ecosystem of extensions. Okay, I could say that about PyCharm, but I'm not sure exactly which extensions I'm going to get on VS Code. So let's see. I think the one other thing I should do is add a second dummy. So for those of you guys who were, or gals, people who were here before, I'm going to want to add another join branch to get all these things back together. Ooh, you're hardcore. You use Vim. I am very weak at Vim. I was always better at Emacs, to be honest. I'm going to call this my metric join. And this, I need a new task ID. So I'll call it join metric calc branch. And I'll just call this the metric join. And I think that should be it. So now what this should do is it should do all those other checks, and then it will actually calculate the metrics if I haven't messed anything up. So once again, back one more time with feeling, back to my DAGs bucket in the Google Cloud Storage to re-upload the same file, overwriting the last one. And groove it out to the lo-fi beats. That's the other thing I do. So you assume since the biggest code editor, it gets the most support, be it internally at Microsoft or from the community. Now, that may be true. I actually don't know. Yeah, I would have to Google like PyCharm versus VS Code. I guess VS Code has really overtaken PyCharm as the #1 by usage. Now let's go back here to my DAGs. And what I want this thing to do is notice that I re-uploaded the file and start running it again. And I'm going to try deleting it again. I still don't really know if this is the best way to make this happen, but I don't know. So watching the spinning wheel on Airflow. And listening to soothing lo-fi beats so I don't get like angry and start punching my computer because Airflow isn't updating fast enough. Let's see if it got the new file. Nope. Nope. It's still not my new file. I don't want this to run. I don't know why it takes so long. Wow, your dad uses PyCharm and he's 75? I think that's really cool. Oops. Oh, great. Getting an error. All right, it's running, but has it gotten my new code? I think it's going to do... Oh, no, it's got my new code. We're good. This will hopefully work. I think that's really cool that your dad programs in Python and he's 75. I have to say, my dad's 86 and he is not programming in anything. So I think that is so cool that you know someone, that your father, not just someone you know, is 75 and programming Python at all. I don't care what IDE he uses. That is damn cool. Just gotta say. I mean, nowadays in younger generations, a lot of people are learning to code, but for older people, oh, he worked at IBM. Cool. Yeah, my dad was in a science subject. He was a chemist, but I don't think he ever learned to code. They didn't have to code for chemistry back when he was doing it. So let's see. I think it's actually running my inserts now. Let's see. I should be, everything has gone green and it's doing my first insight. This is my first insert. This is the moment of truth. Oh, it's working. I'm inserting metrics into the table. This is actually the fun part of Airflow when your DAG is working and you see the little green lights. The little lights going green give you like this feeling of happiness and accomplishment. Of course, getting the yellows and the reds makes you angry and frustrated. So it's kind of like a two-edged sword, you know. But it looks like we're good. Okay, the final metrics I think are being run and we're all green. Now let's look back at the graph first just to see what we've done here. So now my graph goes through some different phases. Wow, I wonder if you guys are gonna be able to see this. Now it's really big and you can actually read it. Maybe that's too big. All right, how's that? So we go, so first we have this split where we're checking the event counts. Then we join, God, how do you get this whole thing to, this is not a great part of Airflow actually. I don't know how to get it to, you can see the whole damn thing at a reasonable size. Very annoying. Can I like refresh this and make it look better? So you see the DAG splits out to do the QA. Then, oh, god damn. Let me just like go back to the tree and then back the graph. And then it splits out and does all those metric calculations in parallel to the degree that I set the parallelism, of course. Which is a great reason to do your feature engineering in a system like BigQuery and not, you know, in your local system using Python, for example. You can do feature engineering in Python, but I say it's better to do it in your cloud database because for this reason, you can do all these calculations at once. So let's go and check the data that I created. So let's query the metric table. So let's just do select, we can do this. Just select star from Churn stream, SocialNet 7 metric table. Churn stream is my project. SocialNet 7 is my data set. Metric is my table. So your father's doing something around IC simulation. Okay, is that integrated circuit IC? I mean, if you're at IBM and you're doing something, because IC. Also, I'm in a management role, so for me, I think individual contributor, you know, is like when you're talking about someone. Are they an IC or a manager? But you must mean integrated circuits. So here's some examples of metric counts. We're showing all unfriend per month with all values of 2. Let's actually change this and sort by account ID. Ugh, boy, you really can't see the query now. So I'm just going to select from this table. Oh, it's not sort by. It's just talking about, it's order by. What language was I thinking when I used sort by? So here you can now hopefully see a little bit better that for one account, they have a different metric value. So this is account ID 1. On the date of July 8th, their messages per month in the last month were 77. Their new friends were 5. Their likes were 303. Their ad views were 24, blah, blah, blah. Then we get on to account 2, and we've got ad views, posts, all the same actions. So this is actually a measurement that we've done for every account. And what else can we do? We could do, let's see, select, how about metric name count star, and we'll have to, let's see, group by metric name, and we won't need this. So this will give us a summary of what we've done in the metric table. So we calculated a lot of metrics. Ad views, so this is basically how many of these we've calculated. And you'll see different numbers here, because if you pay attention to the SQL calculation that we did, which was this one, we don't store zeros. No, because this is a count star in a group by. If there were 0 row events for a given account, you're not going to get count equals 0. You're just going to get no result. So that's actually why you can see in this kind of metric calculation in BigQuery that you actually get different numbers of metrics depending on the type of a metric. And that's a good strategy. I advocate to people not to store zeros in your metric calculations or features, because why? Why is that a good strategy? It might be convenient to store the zeros sometimes, but the problem is you can get rare events where you get a lot of zeros, where a lot of customers, in fact, due to the long tail of events and customer events, you're probably going to have a lot of events which have very few counts. And then if you stored all the customers who did it 0 times, your whole data warehouse would be filling up with zeros, which is not a good way to use your, your cloud computing budget. So anyway, this actually, I think, accomplishes the stream. This was everything I was going to try to do today. So I added my metric calcs. This was like the final picture of what we accomplished today. We checked events, and then we created a metric table, did the metric feature calculation, and that's it. So as usual, oh, your dad's retired. He was building something to simulate boards. He was building to manage his home automation. I see here if that's one level higher. Circuit board simulation. I'm actually not sure. I actually studied as an electrical engineer in my undergrad, so I should maybe know some of that, but electrical engineering was a long time ago for me. So don't ask me anything about it. Okay, but what did we talk about today on this stream? I said earlier that fighting churn is about targeted interventions, improvements, engagement, support, pricing. If you missed the earlier part, I'm like the churn data science guy. So I'm always talking about customer churn. BigQuery is a great place to build a cloud data lakehouse. And what is the data lakehouse? It is the relaxing data warehouse or data lake. I don't know. Anyway, it's using a data lake with data warehouse style tables. And a data lake just means that you have some unstructured data in it too. So it basically also means a data warehouse where you store other stuff in it. That makes it a data lakehouse. Airflow is an open source pipeline process manager that I've been demonstrating and using. And a DAG is a directed acyclic graph. And we've been using these operators to create our feature engineering data pipeline in Airflow. So what are the operators? BigQuery insert job operator. It also runs deletes. It runs inserts and deletes. Pretty much anything you want to do. I guess you could run a select too, but then it wouldn't do anything. BigQuery upsert table operator we use to make sure a table is present. And why would you do that instead of just creating the table? Well, because you might run your pipeline on a new, against a new BigQuery instance where it doesn't have all your tables. And just by these steps don't take any time if the table is already there. Then we do a BigQuery check operator to check results and control the flow, stop the flow if there's a problem. And we learned about the dummy operator, which is useful for joining DAG arcs when you split up to parallel process. This makes it come back together in one step, which only will move forward if all the previous steps succeeded. All right, so that is what I learned about Airflow in the past couple of weeks and what I demonstrated today. I am going to do another stream about this. I've got one more stream because if you saw in Fighting Churn with Data, there is another set of metrics that we calculate from the metrics that we already calculated. So we calculate some metrics or features, and then we calculate other metrics from those metrics. And that will be another perfect part to run in our Airflow, because it's got the dependency. Remember, Airflow is all about handling dependencies. So in the next stream, we'll look at calculating more advanced and complicated customer metrics from the basic customer metrics that we've already seen. All right, now Oh, this is the book that I wrote. I'm a data scientist and an author of a data science book, Fighting Churn with Data. Pick it up. Do use a discount code if you want to. I stream about it, so you can learn most of it online. You can get the source code free on GitHub. But if you want to actually read the book, that's what it is. Let's see. Please follow me on Twitter if you want updates about what I'm doing. The world of Churn. I'm pretty much like a human churn bot. I am not a bot account. Elon Musk should be okay with me. I am not a bot account, but I am kind of like a churn bot in that whenever there's interesting posts or news about churn, I'm always reposting it, usually with commentary. So today's music. Thank you to today's music coming from Leak Beats Lo-Fi. You can find them here on Twitch also, and I'm streaming it through Spotify. But definitely, if you want your lo-fi beats, check out Leak Beats. And thank you. I actually have several people to thank for following me. Thank you, My Investidora, for following me 9 days ago. Do you make your own butter? Make my own butter. I don't know anything about making butter. But thank you, Datanomics, for following me. I'm replaying old people who followed me in the last couple of weeks now. This is what I do. So thank you, Datanomics. I love your Twitch handle because you got data in it. And thank you. Next, I have several of these to get through. Pepe Fontes, thank you for following me. Do I make my own butter? Oh, it's a churn joke. I'm sorry. Maddie tried to get me with a joke earlier, and I'm just not in a sense of humor mode so much at the moment. I'm trying to remember my code. So thank you, Maddie, for following me. I hope you see this stream later. And don't worry, people who are just here for today. I don't have so many new followers that this is really going to take a long time. But I do like to follow. Thank you, people like Arns Mint. Thank you for following me. I think I need another vowel in your Twitch handle to say it. But thank you, Chico Renry, for following me. Thank you very much. Nice to have you on the data team. I hope you see this video and get my shout out. Next, thank you to Rajoptima. No, that was Chiconry. This is bad when these things start replaying. Yeah, there's the butter churn on the cover of my book. That's actually a good one. So let's see. Did my next thank you work? Thank you, Rajoptimus. So that's a good one. Thank you, Raj Optimus, for joining the data science team here with me. Yeah, so we got the butter churn on the cover of my book, which is another little churn joke. Vinylv, thank you for following me. And we're almost done with the new followers. The next one, I'm going to thank you to something I can't pronounce also. Limico, thank you for following. Welcome to the data science team. I hope you watch this video later and see that I gave you a shout out. And last but not least, I am Shubgosh. What do you think? Am I pronouncing that right? I am Shubgosh. Does anyone know what that means? I might have to Google Shubghost to figure that one out. But anyway, thank you all for joining. And also today, I don't know if any of you guys are still here. Jay Walter, Steffi128, and Jens Wost followed me during the stream today. So thank you all for joining me here on the data science team. My live stream schedule is to do this Saturdays, as we noted earlier. I got a day job. I'm a full-time data scientist, a responsible person, so I can't, and I have a family, so that's why I'm not streaming on weekdays like Maddie. I'd like to stream weeknights, but I gotta pay attention to my kids sometimes, you know? I don't want to be that dad who's like wasting time streaming when his kids haven't had dinner. And you can also find all these videos on demand on YouTube. if that's more convenient for you, or if you know someone who's a YouTube watcher. And that's it. So next week or next stream, which should be probably in 2 weeks, I'm going to do airflow secondary metrics is what I'm calling it here. And it looks like that was kind of cut off. So secondary metrics or derived metrics are when you take your primary metrics, which we calculated today, and you calculate metrics using those metrics. And airflow pipelines, of course, are very suited for doing just that, because you can have all your dependencies and your checks all as part of your stream, as part of your DAG, I mean. So yeah, so that's it. That's all I've got today. If no one else has any churn jokes or any, questions, comments about VS Code or anything, I will sign off for the week. It's still Saturday afternoon for me. If some of you guys were in Europe with Maddie, I know it's late for you, but I've got to go walk my dog and do stuff like that. That's Saturday afternoon. So thank you all, and welcome, big welcome to all the new people who came over from Maddie's stream. Hope you come and hang out again. Let's see. Actually, this is a good time to ask if there's anyone else that we should raid. I don't know if anyone else is live right now. Any other data streamers? Because I don't like just doing random streams. We could raid Anthony Writes Code. I guess that's an okay one. Then we'll at least go somewhere. What do you guys think? Anthony Writes Code okay? I mean, we can decide once we get on there and see what they're doing. Yep, I think we should do it. If I can type Anthony Writes Code. You'll save my ice cream churn one for another stream. Yeah, ice cream churn jokes are good. Actually, I'll tell you the latest ice cream churn reference I heard. I read an article, a blog post, where someone advised that you churn like ice cream to save money on your streaming services. That's what they said. To save money on your streaming, churn like ice cream. And by that, what the blogger meant was to switch your streaming service whenever you're sick of it. If there's no good shows on Netflix this month, cancel Netflix. You can always sign up again next month or the month after that. Go to Hulu for a month, go to Disney Plus for a month, and go back. That's churning like ice cream. I thought that was pretty witty. But yeah, so let's see. What was I going to do? We were going to raid Anthony Writes Code because I don't have anything else today. So that was my last churn joke for the day. Let's try the raid if I can remember the spelling. But we will now go. Oh no, I can't spell Anthony Writes Code. That's my problem. Anthony Writes Code. It shouldn't be that hard. All right, we are going to head over to someone else who's coding and doing data today. But please join me again for my next stream. Should be in 2 weeks. We'll do more airflow. Bye-bye, y'all. Let's see you on the other stream. We'll just carry it on.